a designer to me can design anything. My tools aren't just pens and pencils. They are different mediums, anywhere from figuring out how to construct a bench that looks like coffee cups or a giant roll of newspaper to illustrating a logo, painting a giant paint by numbers bird mural on the wall. Designing is figuring out like the process of getting to the end point of the art and the brand story.
Today in the studio, we have Tommy Lincoln. Tommy is a local artist, design maverick, and the creative director at Stay Fresh Design. He's worked with brands like Beak Skiff Apple Orchard, Ben Walsh for Mayor, and Destiny USA, helping them stand out through his artistic vision and innovative approaches. Tommy, excited to have you on the show.
How's it going?
Going good.
So what defines a maverick? You said maverick. What is that? What's that? What's the definition?
With my definition of a maverick?
Yeah. How does that fall into that? Because what I have in my head of maverick is like the 90s movie of like Mel Gibson, Card Player.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Western one?
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say like Tom Cruise, Maverick, and Top Gun.
See, I had never even seen Top Gun up until like a couple of years ago. I played the game on NES, but I never played it. Anyway, so Maverick, is that like a jack of all trades? Is that what?
I think Maverick. Well, full honesty, I didn't write the intro. But I will tell you what my Maverick definition is here. I think a Maverick is someone that stands out in the crowds, someone that is seen, who does something a little bit different. And there's so many people who do a lot of stuff. Like, you know, there's a lot of artists. There's a lot of great artists. But then there's a few people that really kind of stand out and do something different. Oh. And I think that's how I would define a maverick.
I'll take it. Sweet. Cool. All right.
So with that, you know, there's a lot of different things that we can talk about. You do a lot of different things in the community. And I'm super excited to have you on the show. And I feel like a good place could be to start talking about brand and storytelling. So to you, when you're working with companies, how do you first, or why should companies start thinking about brand and story?
Well, brand is how everybody's going to see you. Like that's, if you don't have your brand set or how your look and feel is to the public eye, then the whole thing's going to be off just from the get. So number one, and how that ties into the overall story is important because, especially for like, you know, if we're talking local businesses or businesses around here, you want the local community to know where you're from, why you're doing what you're doing, how that incorporates into everything. The companies who fake it, you know, it's obvious that they do, and I think that weakens their overall like kind of like brand presence, and you see a lot of those kind of like fall by the wayside as they go. So the overall story and the experience that you're giving to customers or people just, you know, passing through or somebody that you're going to work with, it's pretty important to have that kind of all on lock.
So when you start working with a company to develop anything, their website, their product, packaging, anything, how do you first start thinking about how to represent their brand?
I ask them what their favorite band is.
Okay.
Because while every client at the end of the day wants to be like, you know, this is forward facing, this is the public, this is what the public's seeing, it's them. It's their business. You're branding an extension of them. So to understand them is like the first key to if you don't understand who you're dealing with, why are you dealing with them? You know, so I ask about music because that gives you an overall sense of what they like and what they're into. Because at the end of the day, you want them to feel part of the overall process. You want them to be involved in how their story comes about into the public eye, and that's all part of them. And usually music can give you a pretty good sense. Like when Ben and I first met, we talked about hip hop for a good portion of our meeting. And I was like, yeah, of course I want to, you know, do your brand. I'm talking about hip hop, so, but yeah, so I get into music first. That's my first question.
I think that's great. I think, not to like talk too much about Ben here, but there might have been a misconception, or you didn't really think of even going in a certain direction about Ben or about any client. You might think that their music choice can be something completely different, but then they can say hip hop, and then all of a sudden the wheel starts spinning and takes you in a whole different direction.
Well, I worked at Soundgarden for like 9 years, so any genre of music will take me in a different direction. Also, sometimes when I first meet a client, I almost did it today, but I have my overalls on, so I'm doing painting later. I have a shirt that says "oh shit" in French. Now, usually three things happen. Usually somebody doesn't know how to speak French, so they just see a shirt that says something. The person I'm talking to does speak French, and they think it's hilarious. Or they speak French, and they don't think it's hilarious. Usually, the people who think it's hilarious are always fun, usually really fun to work with. But I usually do that as a fun thing too, to get like a sense of where people are at. Our shop is very, when people walk in, it's really cool to see the expressions on their faces, and to hear things that they say, or what they compare to instantly in their head. And this goes back to branding and storytelling and keeping your brand on lock. And people come in and they're like, I didn't know something like this existed in Syracuse. It's a mix of like a Scooby-Doo episode with like a thrift shop. And, like, yeah, thanks. That's awesome. When people compare it to Pee-wee's Playhouse, it's the ultimate compliment. But that ties back into when people come to Stay Fresh and our brand, we're very creative, and we want people to make sure that they know who they're getting into bed with, So when they walk in, it's a punch in the face of like who we are. Some people, I think we've only had one prospective new client come in and kind of relatively feel like she was like, I don't know if this is the place for me, which is fine, But that's also kind of like a litmus test of like, where they're at.
Yeah. So let me play devil's advocate. I think this is a super important thing to think about, and for people that are listening, or people running a business or involved in the business, to think about, why shouldn't my brand be for everyone?
It's really who's your target audience? Everybody has a target audience, right? Like if it's a restaurant, or like Glazed Confused, that's a family business that they're showcasing to families. It's a very whimsical. You walk in there, it's fun. Kids love it. Adults also love it, because who doesn't love donuts? So the brand doesn't need to appeal to everyone, but it should appeal to your target audience. If it doesn't appeal to them, then you're definitely going to swing and miss. And at least start with your target. Start with them. Appeal to them. And if it's working, hey, maybe we appeal to some other people. Then how do we do that? And how do we roll our story into appealing to other people to grow into like other markets? Just take step by step. You don't have to jump in all at once.
That was one of the hardest things about starting 325, was that at first I always wanted to do video for every single person that came through. Like, yeah, we can do that. Even though it wasn't something I was 100% comfortable with, I was excited to do video production. But then over time, I was like, well, no, we're actually really good at this, and I really enjoy this. And these are the kind of people that I rather work with, because these are the most successful videos. And at the end of the day, they will receive a better product because this is the video that I want to make. And I think the scariest part about owning a business is to say no, or to kind of repel people that aren't in that target audience, and to define who your target audience is, so you can actually attract those people. Did you ever think about that kind of stuff when you're creating your company? Like,
well, my goal with Stay Fresh was very specific from the start, and it was to have a little shop that did like the stuff that I knew about and learned through school and grad school, and working at different agencies, and so starting a little shop that also had a gallery that showcased other cool artists in town, artists from out of town, and then with that also having some kind of education component, because I taught at a couple of colleges for years, and I really love the whole teaching thing. So having like an education component somehow in the mix too, it was like, phase 3. So phase 1, design agency. Phase 2, the addition of a gallery. Phase 3, some kind of education component. And like, we're in the middle of, phase 2 right now, where we have a gallery, we have the design agency. And all of that was to better serve Syracuse and to better, the clients that we take on, we take on because we want, we're trying to make our city look cool to others who want to come to Syracuse to be like, oh, Syracuse is cool. Like Jess, our photographer, she came here from Oklahoma for a shoot with me that kind of went by the wayside, but she just kind of hung out and shot a bunch of stuff. And she was like, Syracuse is pretty cool. I'm like, yeah, Syracuse is pretty cool. And, I like to think that, like, Stay Fresh had like a hand in that, like somebody from out of state. And, I know other cats that have moved here from Texas and stuff, and they see that Syracuse is like a cool little spot. And, that was our goal. Like that. So that's my end goal. So whether it's like a donut shop, a waffle shop, the mayor, some, like a law firm, whoever, if they want like something well done, all right, well, we do cool stuff. At the end of the day, we always let the work speak for itself. And like, there's a lot of it around town. And it's because we try to be fun to work with. We try to be easy to work with. We try to understand, the client's needs, what kind of story they're trying to tell. And then we try to build that universe for them, however it looks. Then, we kind of, give it to them and off into the universe with you. And, and then we kind of move on. Well, we have retainer clients that we keep building and building and building and building. There's other ones that just come and go that, and that's fun too. The main goal has always been, let's build the creative landscape of Syracuse and make it like as awesome as we can for the people who live here and the people that are kind of looking at us.
No, that's great. And that's same thing with our mission. Our mission starts with building up the community. Hopefully we make videos that can promote the company so then they can bring cooler people into the area, they can grow, and all together the whole community can kind of grow together. We actually just brought on someone from Turkey who moved to LA or went to school in LA and then found us and now is here. I think the first thing that we all asked her was like, well, why do you even want to come here? I have this thing, everyone always thinks grass is always greener on the other side, but to me, like, grass is always greener where you water it, where you actually put up roots, where you stay, and how you make that place better. And from the outside in, Syracuse may not seem like it has a lot going for it, but when you actually are here and you're involved with things and you see everything that's going on, there's so much awesome people, so many awesome people and so many awesome things going on. What's great is because she's from California or Turkey, however you want to say it, she'll come into the office and be like, I went to this really cool coffee place. I went to this really cool restaurant. I went here. I did this event. And then we're like, oh, we never been there. We never did that. And so it's awesome. Really interesting how many awesome things there are out there, but we don't really see all that until, we kind of just pass over it because we're just in it. And I think if we kind of step out, then there is so many great things about Syracuse. Yeah. And so it's cool that you're pushing companies to push creative and make those things exciting to see.
It's not hard to make stuff look good. You just have to have like the correct people doing it for you. If you want to stand out, then it's easy. Just find somebody to help you make you stand out.
So to me, and probably to everyone, art is subjective. When you're creating art, how do you define success?
Oh, we don't. We don't do that. Like, we don't talk about success. We're not out there like applying, going for awards. We, like I said, like, we do the work. We make sure it looks tight. We give it to the client, and it's theirs to live in. It's neat walking around Syracuse and seeing all the stuff we've done. Like, that's really cool. But from terms of success, like, yeah, we try not to like bathe in any of that kind of stuff. We just kind of like do it and go. People don't agree with me. I can hear the homies in the shop right now being like, okay, Tommy, like, at some point, like, you can admit stuff. But, I feel like I'm a strong believer of like, ride those waves while you can. Let's find a new one, because there's always another wave. and they're always cool. So even when they crash. So a definition of success for me, I don't know, we're going on 10 years. We do a lot of banging work. We have like a lot of cool clients. We've been able to work with like a lot of cool people. That's all. I think, we're doing okay. From like a measure of like art and like how art is successful, like I make art all the time, like paintings. Like all my paintings are in funk. Anybody can go into Funk and Waffles and be like, oh, there's a painting by Tommy. I could buy this off the wall of Funk. And my homies at Funk get a little cut, and like I get a cut, and it works out for everybody. And people get like some dope art. And we make a ton of merch, but like nobody buys our shit. Nobody buys my stuff. Once in a while paintings will go, or I'll do like a market outside of Syracuse or something, and we'll sell. And Jess's photography, her stuff, sells a lot. But like as our merch and stuff like that, it's really at the end of the day a lot of self promotion, and it's stuff that we're doing because we just want to do it. And if somebody ends up buying it, like cool. If they don't, that's cool too. We keep making it. I got a whole bag of it right here. I'm gonna let all you guys around here reach in and pull something fun out. I'm just having fun with it all.
That's perfect. The other problem that I think people struggle that are artists in any medium, video, painting, whatever you call art, because art, so many different ways to be an artist, I feel, it never really ends. Whenever I make a video, I'm like, oh, please just give me another day. Give me another week. Give me another year.
Oh, yeah. No.
So how do you know when it's completed?
This doesn't. Like the last time I saw you was at that mural. And I like, man, like the last time I was there, like I've only been to that mural like maybe like once or twice afterwards. Because when I go back, I'll see all the stuff that I could fix or like edit in my brain while I'm looking at it and be like, oh, I could have done this differently. Or I could have done this differently. And that's like the unfortunate like kryptonite for any creative. That's just unfortunate for us. That's the game we're in, right?
Yeah.
We see it, we can rework it a million different times, but at the end of the day, it's what we did. And that's another reason why like we do stuff and we make sure it looks as best as we can and we move on from it. If we get to go back to it, like that's cool too. Like with 1911, there's times where like, there's a new format of a can or like a new like way of printing, and like we revisit stuff and we get to go back and be like, I get to change that finally. Oh, so there's stuff like that gets to happen. That's cool. And like I said, like when those waves come, we ride them, and then we on to the next.
Do you have any advice to an artist who just can't let go of
I mean, whew, it's tough. My wife will tell you, and the dudes in the shop will tell you that like it's hard for me too. But at the end of the day, it's just like anything else. Just move on.
Mm-hmm. I think on the flip end of that, because we want to be able to complete our project and hand it off and make sure it looks great. But if you're too eager to come to a finish and you're handing it off, it probably means that you're not really giving your all. You care too much about it.
I mean, that's not true. You're saying like if you hand off something too quickly?
I think, to me, the people that I think, the videos that we've created that are like our best videos that we love, are videos that we're like working on until like 2 a.m., like trying to finish and, and really want to spend more time on them. And then there's other projects where unfortunately we hit a wall and we can only go so far with it because the client needs it. Yeah. And we kind of just like settle. And there's nothing worse as an artist than to settle. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, different sandboxes, man. Mm-hmm. Some have Tonka trucks. Some just have like a little plastic rake, and that's tough. There's work that I've done that has been dope as you're never gonna see it.
Yeah.
You'll never see it. You're never gonna see it. No one's gonna see it.
Yeah, 100%.
No one's gonna see it.
Yeah.
And like it's just in there in a hard drive, the ones and zeros floating somewhere, and that's tough too, and like I always go back to thinking like when we get the new Stay Fresh site up and running, like maybe Thursdays would be like from the vault, like I'll showcase something that didn't see the light of day. This is something that like you didn't see, like it's pretty cool. I thought it was pretty rad. Well, maybe you do too. So maybe one day somebody will see some of it, but you can't overthink it. There's always, like I said, there's always another wave. And you started a company because you're doing what you enjoy and you love. At the end of the day, there's not a lot of people that get to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, while today owning the company can be the most stressful thing in the universe, and you want to like, I'm done later. Yeah, a lot of people don't get to do it. So
you founded Stay Fresh.
Yeah.
But your title isn't founder and CEO.
No.
Talk to me about that.
Titles are so lame. Sorry, guys. I was at a lot of agencies, man, where like titles dictated pay grade. But I worked with people at like agencies that were just, your title was like creative director, like a director of what, man? Like at Stay Fresh, a lot of the time, the work speaks for itself. I mean, did you go to our website before I came here?
Yeah.
Did you guys go to our website before I came here? If you look at our website, does it say what we do?
You work with rad people.
We're rad people. We've been around for 10 years. We've never had a website because we let the work speak for itself. And people are like, oh, who did this? Oh, who did this? And they're like, wait, the same kid with the like fart jokes on the paintings at Funko Waffles did the mayor's campaign? What? Like, so it's, that's fun too when people have that like moment. So titles to me, at the end of the day, I'm a designer, and a designer to me can design anything. My tools aren't just pens and pencils. They are different mediums, anywhere from figuring out how to construct a bench that looks like coffee cups or a giant roll-up newspaper to illustrating a logo, painting a giant paint-by-numbers bird mural on the wall. Designing is figuring out like the process of getting to the end point of the art and the brand story. So creative director and CEO and all that, founder of Stay Fresh. Sure, that's probably all true, but Chris and Jess and we've had like a rolling like roster of other people over the years that have come in to help out. And we have all these other cats that help us out on projects too that like don't officially work at Stay Fresh, but we rely on them to help us. So I don't know. Like my business card says designer, creative, and kid, because those are all true statements. If anybody else wants to know about like the business aspect of like who's the CEO or who's like the head or whatever like that, I might say head kid on my business card, but that stuff doesn't matter to me. And Chris and Jess equally, they help run the place, and at the end of the day, all the business aspects of it and all that other stuff falls on me, which does probably fall into the CEO stuff, but it's just not an important thing. And like I said, working at those other agencies and seeing how titles dictate people, it's such a silly thing. But like that's their universe, and that's their construct, not for me. And that's kind of why I went off and did my own thing. Said, you guys can have that world. I'm gonna take my knowledge of what I need to do Stay Fresh and go to Stay Fresh.
I always go on a tangent about this because I feel like every single person that we talk to, I just relate so much with them, and you're in a much different field than I am. But the hardest part about 325 is I always tell people I'm a stupid filmmaker. Like that's who I am at heart. I just want to go in and make videos, music videos, whatever. I got my start doing like Michael Haggerty doing his potato rap music videos,
oh, yeah.
All sorts of different stuff. And now I stumbled into running a business. And throughout the years, we got busier and busier and busier. And then I started like, all right, well, let me give it a run on this whole business thing. But I'm still an artist at heart. So it's funny, I'm technically the CEO and founder because I feel like that's like the title that people want to hear. Like my clients want to know like who that is.
Sure.
But at the same time, it's just like, well, I just want to be a filmmaker.
I mean, yeah. So, I mean, like it could just say filmmaker on your card because that's who you are.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And like, Kevin Smith once said that like nobody's going to like believe who you are unless you believe who you are. While being a CEO would be cool, I don't want people to think that's who I am because that's not who I am.
Yeah. I find that super interesting. All right. One of the last points I wanted to hit was how you first come up with a concept or an idea. So maybe we can just pick one. You've done so many different murals.
Let's go.
Like, how do you, I mean, to me, you can talk about whatever one you want to talk about.
You want to talk about murals? You want to talk about design? Like, what do you want to do?
I think murals is interesting because usually, I want to hear your process. So if we talk about like any mural, you can pick one. I don't want to put one in your head. You pick a mural. How do you first design?
We'll talk about the bird one.
Okay.
The United Way one.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So how do you first come up with, this is what I want the audience to see, or this is what I want to create? Tell me about the whole process, because I find that so fascinating.
Well, the United Way one is a big wall. That's like 2.5 floors, right?
Yeah, it's
pretty big. I hate heights, so like being up on that thing at first, especially my homie who was up there helping me like prime that thing. He's like a little dude, and he's jumping around that like platform, and I'm like, "Yo, Mikey, chill out for a minute. Just let's rest. Just stop for a sec." But you know that was a big one. So to me, the less detail, the more, because you're seeing it from far away. In that parking lot, it's a very big wall. So like, you know, you don't want a ton of details where somebody has to kind of like look all around and kind of figure out what's going on. People are going to be seeing it from walking by the neighborhood. There's a school 2 blocks away.
Yep.
Big solid colors, bigger shapes. You know, what better than a bunch of birds in that community? You know, the whole tight community idea kind of came together with like helping those the kids in the programs there and the families there, and kind of coming together and all working on it together. And all those kids helped. You know, it was having those kids help, and the idea of being like, oh, well, I want every kid to be able to help, even if they're like 4. Let's figure out how they can help. So
we saw that in action.
Yeah, you guys were there filming, and like giant circles. And if you go up to them and say, this circle or this like triangle needs to get filled with yellow or pink, go. There's no wrong answer to anything that they're doing. Here's a shape, fill it with color. Anybody can do that. And anything at the end of the day is a shape. Everything's just shapes. So in that size framing of the building, and that big, you figure out how big those shapes can be. And even when I'm up there like spraying those giant circles and stuff, like the first couple like initial runs of like the circle, like I have to like, drive that cart that I'm on all the way back around that backside of the parking lot. I'm like, oh, that circle looks terrible. And then, I go back around and then do another circle, then I go back around and they go, oh yeah, okay. So, figuring all that out, you as an artist, you have to accept, well, there's some give here. Not every shape has to be perfect because birds aren't perfect circles. So let's kind of use these shapes to have fun with the bird shapes. And, a lot of the, cartoony things and whimsical things that I do with anything always, involve, little fun elements. So we threw some birds are whistling and like there's some with some boots. And then when the kids are there, I'm like, yo, what else should we throw out there? One kid's grandmother had like a certain kind of hat she wore. So we threw that up in there and stuff. So, we're involving everybody. And so like how to draw that, is just really just laying out shapes on that wall and presenting it to the Public Arts Commission as what I just said to you.
Are there any thoughts as far as like, well, I'll start with this. I think the coolest thing about these murals, especially having the community involved, is that they might not know it now as a 4-year-old or a 10-year-old, but they're going to grow up seeing that mural.
Yeah.
And every time they walk by, there's going to be a sense of pride.
Yeah. And with that one, I painted a big scroll on the back wall, and every kid's name who painted it his name is on there. And my name is on there somewhere. But at the end of the day, it was for the kids. It was for the neighborhood. So all those people involved, we got their names on that wall as like signs, so they can go back when they're older.
Why is that important to you?
Well, I mean, hopefully I just spawned like 30 artists into the universe, right? That are just going to create cool stuff.
Yeah.
Right. And they have that experience, pass that experience on to somebody else, hopefully. At the end of the day, I gave them a bunch of stickers, so hopefully they slap that around Syracuse.
Awesome. All right, we're going to wrap this up. I have 3 last questions that I ask everyone. Do you have a favorite book? What is it and why?
Oh, I don't have a favorite book. I don't read a lot. Comics. I have a lot of favorite comic books. And I'm into like the underground comics, and like American Splendor is one of my favorite comics. And that writer I really enjoy. From books, I've read a couple of Nick Hornby books. But I'm not like, I can't say I have a favorite. I can't say I have a favorite book, but yeah. Sorry about that.
That's cool.
Well,
comic books count as books.
Yeah, comic books count as books. So yeah.
If you want to drop one,
like I said, American Splendor is super dope. I'll just stick there. American Splendor, Space Riders.
Okay, love it. You've been doing this a long time, in all sorts of different mediums, all sorts of different ways. What keeps you passionate? What keeps you going?
Well, like I said, I had a very specific plan with Stay Fresh when I started it. So we're in phase 2. So to get to phase 3 is one thing that keeps me going. My kids think it's kind of cool. So that's one thing that, keeps it going. Hiring my friends, is sometimes is a good thing. Sometimes it's not at all. But, making sure that, they have a job, and people see that their work, that's one thing. Syracuse, just making Syracuse look, like I said, like we're out there trying to make you could take a walk from our shop to the university on a very specific run of streets, and you're going to have a Stay Fresh portfolio walkthrough. And that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's sick.
And but you wouldn't know it because, like I said, everybody has a very specific need. And, we've tried to do that. It's not all going to look the same. Not everybody's going to know that we did one thing to another thing. And that, like I said, that's been fine by us. We are working on a new website, which will showcase a lot of that stuff so people can start making those connections. But, making Syracuse just look appealing to outsiders is just something that's always top of our list at the shop. So,
last question. What excites you most about Central New York?
I don't know. Excites,
energize, however you want to take it.
I don't know, man. It's funny you said that there's a lot of spots you haven't been to that your new employee goes to it and like, oh my God, this is open. You're like, I've never even been there.
Yeah.
That is the case for everybody. Every single person who lives here has that same exact story. Even me. And like, people are like, dude, I see you everywhere. And like, I have, like, you guys are looking at me right now. I don't blend in. People, I'm stand out. So people, they're like, dude, I saw you at this. And I feel like I hit a lot, but there's things that like I don't even know about, right? The aha moments that people have, I love, because I always joke that Syracuse has this like salty spirit where everybody hates Syracuse. You ever go on one of those like Syracuse.com like chat rooms or something? Holy cow, man, move, bro. But like, everybody has that same thing until they experience that, whatever it is. It could be whatever it is. Everybody always experiences it and has that aha moment that like Syracuse is awesome. And then they start hitting more stuff. And like, I mean, our food scene is ridiculous. We have awesome food everywhere you go. There's tons of cool like art happening. There's tons of cool events, concerts. Every kind of little thing you can think of is happening. I mean, I think we have like the world's like best cheesemonger. What? Okay. Thank God, right? So those aha moments are, I think, is what I get stoked on all the time because I hear about them all the time.
Love it. All right, Tommy. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Thanks to you guys for doing your it's over here. I know you're doing sound. I don't know what you guys are doing, but you're been hiding behind this thing, this obelisk.
They're my bodyguards.
Oh, yeah, that is like an armor-plated thing. I was coming here packed or something. I only came in here with graffiti instruments, guys.
Well, if you want to learn more about Tommy or his work, you can check him out at LinkedIn at Tommy Lincoln, or you can check out.
Stop.
Oh.
Don't check me out on
Don't
LinkedIn.
check.
Can we talk? Can we segue for a second? LinkedIn, I love, and a lot of people use LinkedIn. But I don't ever post anything on LinkedIn. If you want to see my resume, you can see it on LinkedIn. If you want to see Stay Fresh, just type in stayfresh.design. You'll find us on Instagram. You'll find us on the internet, TikTok, maybe once in a while. Who knows? But you'll find also links to like Jess Stay Fresh and Chris and like all their and Amanda, who's our other designer. You'll find links to their stuff. So LinkedIn, we are there. But if you're looking to get down, find us in the other realms. Okay, keep going. Sorry.
No, I love that. That's perfect.
All right, sweet.
So you can follow Tommy on LinkedIn, but only if you want to give him compliments. And if you want to check out his work, you go to stayfresh.design. And be sure to follow In the Studio with 325 and more conversations with extraordinary people like Tommy every Monday.
Oh, extraordinary.
Extraordinary and a maverick. You're getting all my compliments today. It's like we're on LinkedIn.
That was a good one. That was a good one, right? Everybody? Yes. All right.
All right. Thanks, man.
Yeah, thanks.